And we're back for this week's episode of Coaches and Coffee. Welcome to my two co-hosts, the Wizard and the Professor.
Hello.
Wow, that was energetic right there.
You know, we really appreciate the effort that you put into putting this podcast together and the sponsors that we're going to need to get this thing rolling at tip-top form. But your intros are always fantastic. We love the Bob Seger intro on the music. But what I'm always worried about is whether or not you're going to cut off the end. The Wizard always has something great to say at the end, and you cut it off, and we listen to Bob Seger music. It's gotta get better.
I agree. It's the equipment. It's not the operator. I mean, these cell phones that we use are only so good today.
They're better than a supercomputer from the Casas in my time.
That's true, and definitely a lot smaller. Well, today we don't really have topics that we've prepared. We're going to kind of wing it and see what happens. As we know, some coaches like to wing a game plan or wing a practice, and let's see how this turns out. So, going to throw it to the Wizard first as we continue with our monologue section to open the podcast.
Go, Wizard. I'm timing you.
So earlier this week, I became aware of a situation going on out in the state of Oregon where they're voting to outlaw hunting, outlaw trapping, outlaw breeding of animals, basically anything to do with animal husbandry. And it made me think, are people becoming blind and unaware of to how this country was actually founded, how this country was actually built? And I'm not going to turn it into a political situation, but if we make ourselves so that we are susceptible to having to live off government handouts, then we are in trouble. So my suggestion to the state of Oregon is vote that son of a bitch down and be better in the future. That's all I got to say about that.
Well
you
done.
got that right at a minute. That was impressive.
Yeah. Are we going to you next, Professor?
That's the usual order unless you're going to change it up.
Yeah, no, wing it.
My monologue today is about monologues. And, we all have important things to say and we all have these time limits to keep. And I just want to say that I'm going to pass this on to Mags afterwards, but he did say 30 to 60 seconds, and his monologue last week was 93 seconds. So what I'm saying about monologues is we all have important shit to say. I'm just hoping we can keep it to a timely amount.
Direct shot taken. I appreciate that.
Wait, one more. Just for those listeners, animal husbandry is not about marrying your animals. Go ahead.
Thanks. That's good clarification because people are probably ripping the old Google right now trying to figure out what the Wizard was referring to there. So my monologue is real simple. It's about the WNBA and Caitlin Clark and just watching this week and seeing some of the things that are happening to her. And I'm not sure what the jealousy is all about in the WNBA, but if they don't get it right soon, I think they're going to, lose a star that could go overseas and make a lot more money and be treated like, a princess. But it's sad that, she's come into the league and she's got her own antics that she needs to clean up and eliminate the technical fouls, but she's done so much for the WNBA. And the way she's being treated on the court is just a shame. So that's my monologue. And it was under 93 seconds.
That was well done. Well done today. This winging it podcast thing is great. I mean, you kind of flowed right through. We got you done a little bit quicker than normal. We talk about winging these podcasts and not it's like practice plans. Practice. Here we go. Talking about practice again. We come into this thing with no plan at all, like a lot of coaches do. We wonder why those coaches always turn out at 22% winning, and so hopefully at the end of this podcast today, we're going to be at least 22% good. I think that we should be talking about the people who are supporting us here by listening to this crap. And the one thing I love in the last week is we've really gotten a lot of suggestions from listeners. I'll read some of the quick suggestions, and maybe we can at least tackle one or two, because I think we're going to be going forever on some of them. Chris asks us to discuss the dedication of the coaches in the North Country over the years. I think we could probably spend 30 episodes on that just by talking about a coach or two. And then Corey, one of our favorites, I thought I want to give a shout out to Corey, who used to follow us and do all sorts of sports reporting. And I think that he had all of the kids in mind when he would do his sports reports. And I want to really tackle his first, because I think of the level of dedication that he's given to us. And then our friend Fred offers a whole lot on officiating again, on how the shift in officiating towards offense has happened, but we've got to save that for a later one. So any of those things that you guys might want to tackle?
I mean, I agree with you. I think Corey's question about, the shot clock, and we can probably talk about some other rule changes that have come down the pipe, but that would be a good one.
We got the wizard up north there, just in case you listeners today are wondering why you don't hear him some of the time. And granted, that might be the reason this becomes the best podcast ever. But he is like, we always give him a hard time about being in Canada, but he is in Canada, I think, today. And his Verizon wireless plan, international, we're not sure if it's going to come through.
Yeah, I thought he was going to cover that after his monologue, but he was so fixated on Oregon that there was no way he was covering that.
Yep, he's not there.
No, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got
you. We got you.
Jesus Christ, you guys are going to give me a heart attack.
Can you explain your situation?
Yeah, I had a issue with the gas at camp, and I had to come in yesterday and meet with a tech. And I said, well, instead of just going in, meeting with the tech to fix the gas, I figured I would stay and do my lawn. So my wife came in yesterday afternoon after work, and we're going to stay until tomorrow. So,
but you're driving around in your vehicle trying to find like enough service, right?
Well, I'm out in the yard at the camp. And if I move around a little bit, I can keep a good signal.
I can see him now. He's doing donuts in his yard.
Donuts in his yard, drinking his coffee, and getting all pissed off with Oregon. I mean, here's a discussion that we should have before we move on to Corey's, which means we might not ever get to Corey's today. But one of the questions that I get all the time, and it doesn't get written down, is how the hell do you know these two idiots? And and like, I know these two idiots pretty well now. Like we've been up to hang out for dinners at the Wizard's house, which we're gonna have to get into sometime. Yep. But
still waiting on mine from 2020.
We're still waiting on 6 of yours from the last bunch of years, so I don't even want to hear it right now.
And it ain't looking good for this year too. You might be down another one.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to discuss dinner real quick then. What happens is whoever of the three of us goes the furthest each year in the playoffs, they have to buy dinner, which we think is fair because they get all of the fucking accolades written,
and all the extra money.
They get all, well, I mean, he gets all the extra money anyway, Wizard. Right. But so the deal is that we have to get dinner for whoever, the person who gets the furthest has to buy dinner. And well, the Wizard and I haven't been coaching since 20. That gives Mags owing us dinner every year, and he has failed to come up with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's got to be some rules, because you guys quit coaching.
We instituted the rules, and now you want rule changes. This is like the shot clock discussion we're going to get into.
Exactly.
I like rode off into the sunset more than quit.
That's true. You did go out a champion.
So. Yeah, and I went out a loser.
Well, runner up.
Yeah, but you got a good hug.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe you guys hugged after the championship game. Like, you're supposed to be enemies, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Flying suplex.
Yeah, can we talk about that? Because one of our favorite coaches, Nana B.
Yes.
Young coach, and she's been around the three of us, and she sees the way that we all interact. And just for so people can understand, we've all coached D4 New Hampshire basketball together, and I think I was the shortest tenure because I was over in Vermont. But and we've all been really good during that time. All of us were in, at least one of us, if not two of us, were in the championship game. Always, give or take, a semifinals together. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we're we're the cream of the crop, right?
Yeah. Right.
Rising to the top.
This is going to go right to Chris's discussion about the dedication North Country coaches. I'm pretty sure that's not what he meant by us, but
Oh God, no.
But no, I mean, I'll lead this back to you guys so I don't talk the whole time. Nana B always says, how come coaches today aren't like you three? And I mean, I know what she's saying to us is how come they're not as exceptional as the three of you. But I think what she's really saying is, why don't they interact like the three of you? And what's wrong with that? Because I get a lot of pushback from administration and from parents and everything about the fact that we had a game over, and I don't even think we were playing UMags, but we were over there playing maybe Profile, and we ended up having dinner with you at the 99 or something afterwards.
Yeah. No.
Wow.
It is weird.
I never got taken out to dinner after a Profile game.
Well, that's because you live in Canada. If we were up playing Montreal, we would have stopped on the way back, or Quebec City. But we don't play Quebec City; it's not on our schedule.
I'm pretty sure I took you out to dinner after one of our games because you were one of those coaches that didn't always take the bus home.
Did you use your slush fund?
No. We have a running account.
He took it out of the fuel for the helicopter.
Again, helicopter and me probably never gonna coexist.
The John Madden bus that he's got there with the big Crusaders across the side.
Yeah. Well, I can see where Nana B's coming from. I think over the years, the coaches, part of it is turnover. A lot of these schools, stick with a coach or a coach sticks with the school. It's not always the school's fault, but for 2 or 3 years, and then there's turnover. And, obviously Cass and I coached against each other for 13 years, I think. I mean, he was there longer, but that's when we came to Division 4, Class S back in the day. And obviously,
Will you do D2 or D1 before you drop down?
Yep, exactly.
D1?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, D1. Yep, that's what we were. We just thought, couldn't win it at the top, so we might as well drop to the bottom. But knowing Professor from his coaching days in Vermont and being part of the summer league that we used to do, I have the utmost respect for both of you, and that's not to kiss your ass. But your teams were always prepared. You were always available for, questions about other teams or game plans, throwing ideas back and forth. And I'm not certain that that's ever going to come back, with the younger generation. She's right. People don't know that it's common courtesy to talk to the other coach before a game. Even if it's a playoff game or whatever, but just to have conversation. I've always said, when I go on the road, I wait for the opposing coach to come over to greet me. I don't necessarily go over and greet them, but when they're in our gym, I make it a point to go speak to them. And, some people see us laughing and joking and they get so irate. I think we lose the perspective of what we actually do here.
The funny shit though too is if they knew what we were actually talking about, it's so far from basketball that we would probably be fired if they knew what we were talking about.
That's true.
Pretty much doing a podcast together, just not being.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember following the Wizard into a game. So in other words, like I played the same team 3 days later or whatever it was, and I'm not Mags. I'm like, screw it. They're not going to walk over here. I'm going to walk down. I'm going to say hi because I think it's a duty as a coach to do it and just show your team that, like, I mean, if I'm going to make you shake hands with the team at the end, I better have the decency to walk down and at least say hi to the coach.
Yep.
And I walked down to the coach, and I remember the score, or pretty close to the score of the game 3 nights before. It was like 86-13 or something like that. And
That sounds like a Wizard score.
yeah, and I walked down and I said, "Hey, coach, how's it going?" And he says something like, "Oh, it's good to see you." He says, "I hope you're not going to be quite as hard as that peckerhead was on us a couple nights ago." And that's exactly what he said. And I said to myself, I said, "Well, I mean, the peckerhead was probably just trying to get his team ready. That's what we do."
Get better.
Yeah, and I thought to myself, I was like, damn, like you already started it off on the wrong foot. Like if you lose a game, you lose a game. I remember the first varsity game I ever coached. I lost 76-38. Walked down to the end, and that team, by the way, ended up winning the state championship that year. I walked down, and the coach, I barely knew her. She says to me, "Well, guess you're going to have to get better, huh?" And rather than me getting all pissed off about it, I walked away and I went, "That's the best advice I've ever gotten in coaching."
Yep. Yeah.
Those games are not that we're going to go off on a tangent here, but those games are the toughest ones to coach. I don't think any one of us means disrespect to any other team.
No.
We're going to have an episode at some point on these unwritten rules of coaching, but I think we always did everything right. We didn't keep the press on for more than 4 minutes of the game, or most of the times we didn't even press some of the teams because we knew we didn't need to. Somebody had said to me once after one of the games with the professor or whatever that we had lost one of the few times that the professor had beat us, but he did beat us, and we were laughing and joking with his assistant coach Kolb at the time, and the next day one of the kids said to me something to the effect, "Well, you were in a good mood with the other coach after losing," and I said, "Hold on, he's still my friend. For 32 minutes they might be an opponent, but he's not my enemy." Like we coach high school basketball in Division IV in New Hampshire, so it's okay to converse with the opponent after the game.
So I kind of carried a different philosophy in the fact that I was going to work on my stuff no matter what. I mean, yeah, I was not going to do it for 4 quarters, but I was going to work on my stuff and giving other players chances to be in different positions, especially if we were doing a 2-1-2 half court press, or if we were doing something with a man matchup or of that nature. I was going to give other kids a chance to be. So you may think that I was out there pressing to destroy, but no, I was pressing to see if I had kids that could play different positions and give them an opportunity. And if they scored, they scored. I mean, it wasn't my duty, I didn't think, to necessarily be compassionate to the other team in regards to the score. I mean, I've had players who couldn't throw the ball in the ocean if they were standing in the tidal surf. So, that's the thing. I always wanted to give kids a chance to be out there and excel at different spots.
Yeah, I mean, you're so right. Like you coach your game, you do whatever you got to do, and the coach that you're coaching against either has to get better or maybe, toughen up a little tiny bit and not take any of that personally. I mean, there are coaches who do like to run up scores, who like to do pretty nasty things to other teams, and they usually get it back, 5 years later when they're weak. But our job as a coach is to prepare our team. I remember coaching against a Southern team that had a dynasty going for a while, and they had us bad at halftime. And I said to the coach on the way to the locker room, I'm like, Coach, you're getting ready for the next round in the playoffs. If you take that press off, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
No. Well, they either get payback or in a lot of cases, those coaches jump ship when they know they're not going to be good. So the next poor soul, takes the beating. But, yeah, I think we all did it, the right way at that time. And you're right, like we're trying to coach our team and Wizard, great point of putting other kids in different positions. And sometimes that's good to see, not just for you as a coach, but the fans in the stands or the bleacher creatures, as you like to call them, see that, okay, maybe my daughter has some things to work on, or my son, if it's a boys game, because they're just not ready for that level. And the other team's not ready, either. But, see, look at that. We took 20 minutes.
I know we haven't even touched on Corey's thing, which we were going to talk about, but my last quick point to all of that is that so the three of us developed this relationship because we all coach against each other. We all have good teams and we always had good games. And being competitive probably made it so that we also became friends with each other because, like you said, Mags, we all were trying to accomplish the same thing. But what I really tire of is having people question whether or not it's okay for us to be friendly with each other. And like you said, I mean, 32 minutes of the day is, just over 1/48th of the whole day. We can be friends the other 48ths of the time.
Jesus,
So,
that
but
is the person that went to MIT, folks.
Yeah. But
my last point is going to be, I remember Dale's first game in our gym.
Me too.
Remember that?
Oh, me too.
The power went out. Well, someone turned the lights off at one end of the gym, and I looked over and I was like, someone's up on the stage, obviously hit the wrong light, and I look over and Mags is standing there with his eyeballs wide open, and it looked like he'd seen a ghost initially, but I mean, I had no idea, and all I could do was just shake my head and laugh. But then the other thing I learned about Mags is that he chewed shitty gum, because he had this pregame ritual where he and Kelly pull out a piece of gum and they share a piece of gum.
We don't share a piece of gum. We have our own piece of gum.
Well, whatever, they share they have a stick of gum together. So I threw myself into it by purpose, where I would go over anytime I played him to make him offer me a piece of gum so I could get into the ritual too. But then I was like, God, his gum is awful. I don't want to eat that no more. So
did he pre-chew it and feed it to you like a baby bird, or did he
yes, the baby bird thing. Oh, no, actually he did not. I would not have gone for that either.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I do remember that game, and I remember your AD coming up. It was like 40-something seconds left in the first half, and telling me it was going to take 15 minutes for the lights to come back on. And for whatever reason, the lights went out on our end of the gym that we were shooting at, and I just remember saying to him, "We can't shoot with the lights on. You want our kids to shoot with the lights off?" Because we were getting spanked, and I think the final of that game was like, I don't know, like 82 to 40 something. And one of your players gave up we gave up 1,000 points to one of your player who wasn't expected to get it that night, but we played such outstanding defense that she almost got it in the first half.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yep.
Yeah.
I remember that.
So I do remember all of that. And we went into the locker room and we came back out and we played the last 40 seconds, of the first half, and then continued into the second half while we waited for the lights to come back on. So
good. Hey, I got a question. Was that long ago, like before iPhones?
It wasn't that long ago.
Well, couldn't like two people have just turned their flashlight on their iPhone? You don't take much to light that gym up.
I mean, you got to remember how far that gym has come.
It ain't come that far.
It's still only 40 by 30 feet.
Yes, the size of the gym has not changed. But I remember the year they upgraded the scoreboard, and you walked in there and you almost got blinded by the lights I think I left with a tan from how bright the scoreboard was compared to the regular lights. So,
By the way, that could be an entire episode is just gyms in the North Country, of which then the Wizard and I would have to talk for about 20 minutes on our gym. Well, old Mags is, complaining about whether the air conditioning was working.
yeah, it's a rough life. Sorry that.
Well, at the D2 level, you guys have those beautiful gyms.
Yeah.
Well, we got to move on to Corey, man.
Yeah, I think we got to hit on that, just
we've
because.
Got our GOAT debate coming up. We've got to get Corey's answer done before the next 7 minutes. Let's do this.
Yeah. So for those of you that are wondering what Corey's question is about, is the National Federation of High Schools has adopted a shot clock that's been in place for a while, and Corey's question to us was like what we felt the advantages or disadvantages of having a shot clock, and what the likelihood of it is. And first, from a likelihood standpoint, I wouldn't see that happening in at least Division IV schools. I mean, they're small. Two, the cost to implement shot clocks. Having a second person at the scorer's table, that's a challenge to fit a second person in small gyms like Colebrook at the scorer's table, to be able to run the shot clock. And I could just see, all the errors. They get caught up in the game and there's a rebound and they forget to reset the shot clock and the buzzer goes off. And, so I think there's a lot of things that are going to have to go into it. The number one thing is funding for the schools if they ever wanted to implement it. And then we can go into advantages and disadvantages as we go here.
What do you got, Wizard?
Well, I mean, myself, the thought process was always the more we pass the ball, the more chance we got to turn it over. So, we're all talking about Division IV basketball. There are some teams that are disciplined enough to pass the ball around, and the other team standing with their hands down. It's just a litany of things. The thought process of a timer on a shot. What's the standard time? What's the standard time for a shot clock? Is it
30 seconds.
30 seconds. I mean, you ought to be able to get off a shot in 30 seconds. I mean, it's.
If you don't, you're going to turn it over.
Right, you're going to turn it over. So, putting a timer on it and, like you said, adding all those people to the equation, I don't know if that's going to work. And then having all of your referees up to speed on it and basically Johnny on the spot with enforcing those things. I don't know. It's going to take quite a bit of training and or funding for equipment.
I really appreciate Corey's question, and I'm one of the coaches that instigated the idea of a shot clock over and over. I won a state championship running a stall the entire season. I remember being up 17-0 at the end of the third quarter in one game because the team just didn't want to come out and play defense anymore. But with that in mind, the year I won that championship by running a stall, we actually averaged 37 points per game running a stall. My argument about the stall is if you don't want us to stall, then come out and play defense. If you want to sit back in a zone, I'll beat you 2-0. But Corey's point also was about preparing kids for the future, where you're going to play at the college level with a shot clock. Yep. I want to say in high school, with or without a shot clock, a shot is averaged every 17 seconds. So every 17 seconds seems to me like we probably don't actually need a shot clock. This is just one of those things that's been put in to try to add more offense to the game. And I was looking up a bunch of details about this. Since the advent of the shot clock, scoring hasn't gone up. So I'm not sure that it matters. It only matters when an asshole like I decide we're going to take the air out of the ball because I don't have kids that can make shots.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see that there's a lot of advantages to a shot clock because, as the Wizard said, the more you pass it around, the more likelihood you are to turn the ball over, whether it's a 30-second shot clock or a 20-second shot clock. One of the things I think what we always did well as coaches is we always tried to get better as coaches. And one of the things that I picked up so far in the off season is, this drill where 12 seconds on the clock and, you push the ball up the floor. If you don't get a shot in 12 seconds, the other team, they get 12 seconds, and it's, just creates, some sort of competition, but also moving the ball quicker, attacking instead of holding the ball. I'll go back to our championship game in 2019. We were up 3 going into the 4th, and we came out and we held the ball at center court, and it wasn't that we were stalling, but the team, to Professor's point, was playing a 2-3 zone, and we'd scouted them enough that man-to-man was not their strong point, but we were going to force them to play man, or we were going to run out the last 8 minutes of the clock. And I think we ended up taking 3 minutes off the clock on the first possession, which, okay, advocates for a shot clock would make sure that didn't happen, but to your point, you don't want a shot clock, come play defense.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the way, what's ideally what do the kids enjoy? The kids enjoy going out and trying to score, playing defense. I think they enjoy playing, they better. And, getting at the rim. Necessarily do they agree with or want to stand out at half court and pass the ball around? That was not something that we were successful at for a great period of time. So, turnovers were something that I despised. So I never really had a set stall. We had some things that we did, obviously, get the ball to the best ball handler. And fortunately, through most of my years, I had good ball handlers. But, I don't know this day and age how much difference a shot clock is going to make.
I keep seeing these rule changes, and we're going to try not to talk about officiating today. And to kind of answer Corey's thing again, preparing for the future. Well, if we're going to prepare for the future, then we've got to teach our kids how to do a gather step and carry the ball and do all these other things at the pro level. And I just wish that we could kind of go back to when Naismith started this whole basketball concept and play the game. And the team that got the most points won, and we didn't give all of these advantages to the offense, and we allowed teams to play defense. I really think rule changes have actually hurt the game more than they've helped, but that's, again, because I'm an old coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've already hit on it, but the disadvantages, I just see the games would take longer. Not that there would be shot clock violations, but there would be the shot clock not resetting, and the officials have to stop the game and get that right. And a lot of training would have to go into, implementing such a rule. But we're not going to go deep into rule changes, but, a lot of the rules that come down the pipe from the college ranks or whatever, don't necessarily make the high school game any better. So I'm not going to dive into that, but more and more things come down from the college level. It's only going to be a matter of time before we get to call a timeout and advance the ball to half court. So
yep, it's coming.
Yep,
and 6 fouls.
Yeah, why not? I mean, let's just
why not?
Yeah, let everybody play. I mean,
well, my God, if some of the Wizards kids were allowed 6 fouls, they would have all scored 2,000 points. I mean, the only reason some of those kids didn't score 2,000 was because they were sitting on the bench.
Yeah, well, that, and he probably would have, won more than, 80% of the games, because he had to put kids on the bench at halftime with 3 fouls,
To wrap this whole thing up so we can get onto the Wizards GOAT debate, which I think people are just going to love. I know Corey pretty well, and he's one of my favorite people from doing all that he did in sports for us, but he also played on a basketball team that probably averaged 100 points. I think he won 4 straight state championships. Maybe it was only 3. I don't know. You guys would probably know better.
It was in all 3 sports.
Right now.
It was in all 3 sports, too. I think they won, and he's going to have to correct me, but I think it was 10 consecutive between soccer, basketball, and baseball.
Yeah, I mean, an impressive team. And Corey is just an impressive athlete. You know, we can kiss Corey's ass all we want here, but he is right now in an hour when you actually put this podcast up on YouTube, by the way, which he asked for also. Corey is going to be sitting there going, you guys are a bunch of old assholes. Like, come on. It's time to move on. Corey, your team shot a shot every 7 seconds, stole the ball, went down the other end, and dunked the ball. You didn't need a shot clock when you guys were playing. You shot every 7 seconds. Back to the old Loyola Marymount. Please, for you people, go look that up still. 1990, Loyola Marymount.
Yep. 122 points a game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that was Corey's high school.
Yeah.
120 points a game, and he wants a shot clock because he's young.
Yeah, well, and we can add this to the unwritten rules. You know, now it's frowned upon and you're demeaned as a coach if you score 100 points in a high school basketball game.
Yeah, right.
That better rule for no shot clock and going back to the stall. By the way, running the stall, you get a state championship. The goal is to score more than the other team. We shot 68% from the floor in the finals. So,
hey, that's sweet.
Yeah. They only took 14 shots the whole game, but they shot 68%.
You do the math.
Yeah.
All right. We moving on?
Yeah.
We've almost gotten through this shit show.
Yeah, let's go to the GOAT debate.
All right. So always thinking about it and being on the ball like I am. My thought process came to who is the biggest douchebag in NCAA history as a coach in your mind and in any sport throughout it as far back as you can remember.
Wait.
I'm
We're going to go back to 2012.
Well, I'm not going to go back that far because it was kind of a toss up with me, and it wasn't Jerry Tarkanian or anything of that nature, Bobby Knight, or it was a toss up between. There was a certain team in Pennsylvania that had a football team whose coach basically turned a blind eye to a lot of illegal behavior and basically retired a superhero. And my coach actually was a college coach in football and then went to the NFL and ended up losing his job because not only after his team got their asses handed to him, he decided that he was going to stay in the city that handed him his ass and go to the bar and solicit young women, even though he was basically married. And I guess you can't call it basically, he was married.
You're not half pregnant.
So my biggest douchebag is Urban Meyer.
Oh, fair pick.
Yeah.
Urban Meyer, I can imagine him going out on stage and having you introduce him.
Yeah, he wouldn't want to.
Am I rolling next, Mags?
Yes.
That's the normal order, right?
That's correct.
So in our generation today, we only remember what happened yesterday. And so with that in mind, I'm going to go with my biggest douchebag. And there are going to be people who are going to be furious with my pick, is Gino Auriemma. When you win like you win at that program where you can scout and recruit anybody that you want, and you win, what is he at, 11? How many, Max?
I think it's 11, yeah.
11 national championships. When you lose, you need to lose with grace. And the despicable behavior by Gino this year in the NCAA championship, because his own player ripped the jersey, number 21, Sarah.
Strong.
Yep, I know. I'm on it now. I wrote my notes down. He rips her jersey. He goes on a tirade with the officials, which we did last week, and then basically won't shake Don's hand on the way down. And I just said to myself, dude, there are a lot worse people. And Sandusky for Penn State was one of my other options too. There are a lot of worse people than Gino Auriemma. But after having this discussion about coaches and how we're supposed to be friends and stuff like that, I lost a lot of respect for a guy who's won 11 national championships, and I think he's now a douchebag.
Good point.
Yeah, no, we are living in a what have you done for me lately society. And yes, no, I'm not picking the coach that you guys want me to pick because it's not true.
Krzyzewski?
I'm not picking him. No, absolutely not. He did more for college basketball than any other coach
Correct.
in the history. But anyways, we'll move on. So I think when a coach goes to multiple schools and scandals follow them wherever they go, what's that about? I mean, that isn't that the definition of a douchebag is someone who just breaks the rules and moves to another school and breaks the rules. And
Oh, I definitely know who you're picking.
who do you think I'm picking?
Cal.
I am. You are 100. John Calipari. Yes, at UMass. I was a big UMass fan growing up. You know, Marcus Camby, Edgar Padilla. Enjoyed watching them play. And obviously was messed or got involved in scandals there, then moved on to Memphis. Same thing. So it's probably only a matter of time before it happens again. But so many things happen behind the scenes in college sports that we don't necessarily know about. But darn it, just play by the right rules. Don't give yourself a black eye or the school a black eye, and shame on those schools that know that things are happening and do nothing about it. So just because he's a winning coach goes back to our philosophy of, winning is not important. Hopefully teaching these kids something else in life is more important than winning. But if we're going to win at all costs and break all the rules, then what's the point? So Rick Pitino. John Calipari. Rick Pitino was a close second, but John Calipari.
And our vote, because the Wizard and I talked about this before we got on air today, our vote for the biggest douchebag in not giving us our proper amount of dinners is Mags.
Yep. Here.
Yeah, you guys keep waiting.
Breaking the rules.
Yeah, rules. All right. So what else? Anything else? I mean, we didn't keep it under 40 minutes, and that, folks, that is without single planning text about what we're going to talk about. We threw a gazillion ideas at each other this week, and none of them stuck. So the Wizard thought he had to run the whole show this morning. It was, could have been much worse.
Stressful.
Yes.
What I can't wait is for Corey's suggestions this coming week, or he won't put anything down there so that he doesn't have to hear his name on this podcast again.
No, Corey's been a great supporter of all of our programs, and he stood up for me personally against some, bleacher creatures over the years publicly. So always thankful for Corey for what he did for the North Country sports and what he represented as a player for North Country sports back in the day. So,
yes, very much so. Corey's a good guy.
All right. Well, I'm not going to close the podcast without making sure we get, the Wizards sign off that you guys have missed that, Professor warned me about at the beginning here. So we'll continue this for those that want to find our podcast on a different platform. They are on the YouTube channel, Coach Pryor. You can find our podcast there and listen to them as well as on Podbean. Definitely still looking for sponsorships. I know Professor's working on the coffee company. Hey, we'll take Canadian money too, Wizard. So if there's any
okay,
Canadian businesses up there that want to donate,
there might be a hula bar across the border that we could speak to.
And any influencers out in Oregon looking to, send some money our way.
That's right. Hey, you know what? That was the passion in that monologue to start was phenomenal.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
I
can't wait till next week what his monologue is going to be. Oh my God. I hope something good happens in the news this week.
Yeah. Well,
about husbandry.
Are we out of here?
We're going to be out of here. So,
you, man.
Signing off for this week's episode of Coaches and Coffee. Until next week, enjoy.